All right, let's talk about Bittensor. You've probably heard the name, right? It's easily one of the most talked about and, let's be honest, one of the most complex projects where AI and crypto meet. I mean, we're talking about a decentralized network of machine learning models, all competing and collaborating. So how in the world do you even start to wrap your head around something that big? Well, today we're going to try something different. We're going to see it through the eyes of someone who was, you could say, an accidental pioneer, a web vet who kind of stumbled right into the middle of this whole new universe.
And that guide for us is Marcus, the founder of TAO Stats. Now, he wasn't some machine learning genius or crypto degen. He was the guy who could take the incredibly technical world of Bittensor and just make it make sense for everybody else. In a world full of PhDs, he was the ultimate normifier. And honestly, his journey is the perfect lens for understanding how this whole network has evolved.
So picture this. It's late 2022. The crypto market is in a deep, deep freeze. And you've got this web developer with 2 decades of experience just looking for something new. He wasn't trying to change the world with crypto. Not at all. He was just trying to figure out how to maximize his passive income during the absolute worst part of the bear market.
What's so fascinating here is Marcus's background. I mean, nearly 20 years as a web developer. He'd been kind of passively in crypto since 2017, but had never actually worked in the industry. So his whole reason for jumping in wasn't some grand ideology. It was pure practicality. And right as he was looking, this new narrative just exploded onto the scene, AI, thanks to the launch of ChatGPT. He saw Bittensor, and boom, a powerful idea just clicked. He got in when the price of TAO, Bittensor's token, was just kind of floating around 12 to 15 bucks. Can you imagine? He started as a validator to earn that passive income, got totally hooked by the community, and by January 2023, he launched the very first version of TAO Stats. Then, just a couple of months later, a huge network upgrade called Finny came along and completely changed the game.
So, what was the big aha moment? Well, think about it. With traditional AI, you send a query to one central company, right? Like OpenAI, and you get one response back. But with Bittensor, you're querying a whole network of competing models. The network itself rewards the best ones, and you get a mix of the absolute top responses. For Marcus, it felt just like the early incentivized communities of BitTorrent, a perfect use case for a decentralized network.
You know, like so many of the best tools out there, TAO Stats was really just born from a personal need. Marcus calls himself a data guy, and he got completely obsessed with tracking his own validator's performance. And that little obsession, it was about to become a critical piece of infrastructure for the entire ecosystem.
And the way it grew was so natural. It started as his own personal spreadsheet. Then that turned into a Google Doc he started sharing around. After that, he built a simple HTML site that he would manually update by himself every single morning. Finally, he partnered up with another community member to automate all the data pulling, and just like that, TAOstats.io was born. A tool he built for himself was now something miners and validators absolutely could not live without.
But, of course, as the network started to grow, so did the problems. The early days of, hey, anyone can be a validator, were coming to an end. And with that change came a whole new set of challenges that really threatened the core incentive system of the network. The first huge step was that Finny upgrade we mentioned. It landed in March 2023, and it was a massive shift. The network cut down the number of validators to a much more competitive group of 128, and, this is the important part, it allowed anyone to stake their TAO with these validators. The whole idea was to professionalize the network.
Okay, but you know how it goes. You fix one problem, and another one pops up. And this new problem, it was a big one, a really serious one. See, the validators, the guys who are now the most powerful players in the game, were also the same people building and funding the new AI apps, which are called subnets. So, take a guess who got to vote on which subnets received all the network's funding, the emissions. Yep, the validators themselves. We're talking about a massive conflict of interest.
I mean, the conflict was just so obvious. On one hand, you have these validators with major skin in the game actually building out the ecosystem. But on the other hand, they literally held the power to vote to pay themselves. So how could the network possibly make sure that funding went to the best subnets and not just the ones run by the most powerful validators?
The solution was pretty brilliant, actually. It's a market-based system called DTO, which stands for Dynamic TAO Ownership. It just completely removed validator voting from the picture. Instead, network emissions would now flow to subnets based on the market value of each subnet's own token. Basically, the open market. You, me, the public, now gets to decide which projects get funded.
And they refined it even more with something called TAO flow. This is a clever mechanism that looks at the flow of TAO into and out of a subnet over time. It rewards projects that have steady, consistent buying pressure, which makes it way harder for someone to just manipulate the price for a short time to get emissions. It really forces projects to build real, long-term value.
And that, right there, brings us to where Bittensor is today. The internal plumbing has evolved to reward genuine value. So now, the focus is shifting outward. It's moving away from just being about crypto-native projects to being about building real, sustainable AI companies on top of this decentralized infrastructure.
This quote from Marcus really gets to the heart of the new reality for anyone running a subnet. Miners are the ones providing all the computing power, right? And they get paid in subnet tokens. You just have to assume they're going to sell those tokens to cover their costs. So, the only way to balance that out, to counteract that constant selling, is to generate real revenue.
This is a fundamental shift in thinking. Subnets aren't just little crypto side projects competing for network rewards anymore. Nope, they are being built as full-on AI companies. The dream is that one day the world knows names like Targon or Shoots without even realizing they're built on Bittensor. Kind of like how you know Google, but you don't really think about TCP/IP.
So what this all means is that there's a whole new playbook for how you win on this network. Those network commissions, they're not a permanent paycheck anymore. Think of them more like startup funding, a runway to get you off the ground. That's it. If you actually want to survive and thrive, you need a real, honest-to-God business model. You have to build products people will actually pay for. The goal now is to generate enough real revenue to become a sustainable, self-sufficient company.
So this whole journey, right, from this niche project for machine learning engineers to a super sophisticated market for funding AI development, it leaves us with a really fascinating question. We're literally watching a new model for building and funding AI companies take shape in real time. The question isn't just about a crypto token anymore, it's about whether this decentralized ecosystem can actually produce the next generation of powerhouse AI startups. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to AI in 8 minutes and never miss what matters.